Coming to you live from the snowy dunes of Hoth. This is Echo-Based Radio. I'm Green Leader 88.
I'm Blue Leader 99.
And on this episode, episode number 4, we're going to be talking about the... Coming to you live from the snowy dunes of Hoth, this is Echo-Based Radio. And I am Green Leader 88.
I'm Blue Leader 99.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking to you about Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Third in the trilogy.
For those in the know, Revenge of the Jedi.
Or, for those of you who are even deeper in the know, Blue Harvest.
Yes, sir. And no, we're not talking about the Family Guy spinoff.
No, we may get to those, but, for now. But, if you watched our first episode, it's no secret, this is our favorite Star Wars movie out of the entire saga. I love Return of the Jedi. I know that people may give it some flack because of it being a bit too kid-friendly or being too much of a rehash of the original, and was this the right way for them?
Because it has teddy bears.
Yeah, but, I mean, I know that people debate, was this the right way for it to go, considering the dramatic shift that we got in Empire, but... I mean, it's fine. Sometimes the end chapter, even if it does include redemption, doesn't always have to be a dark path to redemption. I mean, we already saw the dark path. Now we're back on the side of, giving some fun, but there's still some tension here, which is great.
Yeah, and being this is the final movie in that trilogy, you had the beginning, A New Hope, the beginning, and then you had the middle, which is Empire, which was pretty much showed the downfall and created the climax of the story.
Oh yeah.
And it was meant to be a darker piece, and I think that Return of the Jedi gets a lot of flack because it's not... Like you said, it's not the dark chapter that people expected it to be coming off the Tales of Empire.
Right.
And because that tonal shift was, in some parts, drastic from what we had before, I think people just wrote it off and gave it a bad rap just for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit unexpected, but personally, I don't think that there's any problem with that. We still have some great moments of tension, and even some of the parts that were mysterious when it first came out could have led to make you think that this was going to go in a direction that maybe it wasn't supposed to. But yeah, I mean, let's jump right into it.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we start off by letting us know that the Empire's redoing the Death Star. Why?
Didn't they learn before?
Well, apparently not, but, I guess the Emperor's fine with still having the blueprints, and we learned that he's coming to, check up on things, so that's fine.
I want to know where they got all the resources to rebuild this thing so quick. The resources and the manpower.
Well, I mean, it's the Empire. They have a far reach. But enough about that. Let's get back to Tatooine. We're going to have some fun at Jabba's palace.
Sand.
I love Jabba's palace. It's so great because we get to see, this is the first time that we get to see the criminal underbelly of the Star Wars universe. Because, I mean, we've been alluding to Jabba throughout this whole time. If you didn't watch the special edition cuts, we had no idea who he was, but here we get the introduction to the crime lord himself. He's just a big giant slug with a big palace, and a lot of his friends are there. He's got a translator, he's got droids, he's got dancers.
He's got women. What more could you want for a
He's got a band. He's got some weird little monkey that laughs. I love Salacious Crumb.
Don't forget the pet in the basement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And his prototype Ring doorbell.
Right?
I would rather have one of those than a Ring, personally.
Yeah.
But basically, the reason we're here is because, Han Solo's in Carbonite. He's his wall decoration. And Luke is coming to free everyone because it's a convoluted plan to get everyone in the palace, but then we're all going to get out safe and sound. Hopefully. All those people that are there, all of his friends and Boba Fett and everything, do you think they all live there, or is this just one big continuous party where they're all hanging out?
I think it's more like a central hub for the underbelly. Like that's I feel it more as like a canteen where they can go have a drink, get a job if they need to.
Okay.
Find out what bounties are on the table for the week, or
Okay. I guess this was before the guild came in. Yeah.
and plus, being in Tatooine and associated with Mos Eisley and stuff, we know that that's what I've always pictured to be like a central hub for all the crime in the underbelly of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And let me ask you this: you know how he has like a droid torture chamber down there? Do droids now feel pain?
I didn't think so.
But apparently they can. He's like, burning the feet of one of those gonk droids, and that other one that's down there said that they disintegrated the last protocol translator because Jabba was just merely upset with him. So
Is this this will be after the droid rebellion?
apparently so. Because there are no battle droids in this part of the story.
But yeah, I always thought it was weird that, like, especially coming off of episode 1 where 3PO traversed Tatooine for a while and he never complained about his feet being burned.
Oh yeah, and well. I mean, he did say that his joints were almost frozen in the 4th one. So I guess he could feel something. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I love about Jabba's palace is that there's that mystery as to what's underneath, because during the big dance number, his dancer falls into the shaft, and when the movie first came out, we didn't really know what was going on down there. We just heard some screams of agony, but it's revealed that Jabba's got like a little pet rancor. He's like how would you describe the rancor? He's
angry.
Angry. Yeah, he's kind of like he's a giant monster with arms and claws. He's kind of like a deformed T-Rex or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the face reminds me of in the war.
Yeah, the claws.
He's very humanoid there.
Oh
He
yeah.
walks around on 2 legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there was. Oh, you know how one of the Gamorrean guards falls down into the pit with Luke when the trapdoor opens? I heard something, and I was like, so that's where that's from. I knew that it was from. When the Rancor picks up the Gamorrean guard, you know how that thing is squealing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right before the Gamorrean guard eats him, he makes a sound, and it is the same sound that is used for the crab in episode 2. Just that one portion of the scream was used for the sound for that crab in episode 2.
Oh, crap.
I'll have to play it for you later.
No, I can.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Lucas, you sneaky, sneaky man. Well, I guess reuse when you can, right?
I guess so. Yeah, I didn't have a Rancor action figure, but I did have one of those 6-inch Luke action figures or whatever. But it came with a lightsaber and the bone that he sticks in the Rancor jaw for some reason.
Yeah.
It just came with those 2 accessories. I don't know why.
So, going off that tangent for a minute,
yeah.
Little background about me. I'm a toy photographer on Instagram. I like Star Wars toys.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the Rancor, Hasbro, this was like last year, Hasbro did what they call a HasLab, which is like a crowdfunded project for like bigger projects that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So their big one for the year was Star Wars Rancor.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had the Rancor, which fully scaled with all your Star Wars Black Series figures. Like, this thing is huge and massive. And so you got the figure, and then what they do is to kind of entice you to pre-order and to put your money down for it. For each one sold, it'll unlock like different tiers.
Mm-hmm.
But the tiers that they decided to put were stupid. Like, if you were getting a Rancor figure and you had all these different options you could pick from, what is the one accessory or character that you would think would naturally come with a Rancor?
Luke.
Well, Luke
or his the Rancor handler.
the Rancor keeper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
His
they,
handler.
Yeah, they did not. The Rancor handler was not one of the crowdfunding project or one of the tiers. You had I think they gave you a Luke. They gave you the Gamorrean guard.
Okay.
Which, no, that's cool, but we've already had a release for that.
Yeah.
So that wasn't anything special. You can go pick it up at the store.
Right.
For whatever. So, long story short, that project failed.
Oh, really?
Because people are like, well, you couldn't even, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to give you like a little dio for it, but all it was just a cardboard backdrop of like the cave.
Oh.
And even though like the figure looked good.
Yeah.
But they just skimped on what they were giving us with it, so that project went down the toilet fast, and now that's become a joke amongst the toy community. The Rancor, the failed Rancor HasLab.
Right. Yeah. And this also let's backtrack a little bit, because this is where Luke comes into the picture. And going off what happened at the end of Empire Strikes Back, where he's lost his hand, he's found out that Darth Vader is his father, and we see him. I love that long shot of the gate opening, and you just see, a dark cloaked figure comes in. So this is where the mystery comes in. Luke is in all black. He silently enters.
Which we've never seen this before.
No, he force chokes 2 guards and then mind tricks his way into Jabba's palace.
Which is very interesting, because those are all dark side aspects that we've seen so far.
Not the mind trick, though.
Well, not the mind trick, but
he's force choking him, and then when he tries to, vocally negotiate with Jabba and that doesn't fail, he force pulls a blaster and tries to just straight up assassinate Jabba. And so when that doesn't work, and then when the Rancor doesn't work, because Luke is able to, throw a rock at a button that smashes a gate on top of his head, and that's when we get the weird Conan guy to come in and cry.
Which, I would approach that situation very differently, because why would you just pick up and throw a rock when it's evident you can just lift it?
I mean, we saw him lift rocks the last time.
We did.
I don't know, maybe he was just practicing his Zen at that moment, because it was different.
He was in the moment. He wanted a challenge.
I guess. But anyway, Jabba is upset, so he sends them... So he takes them out to the Dune Sea to this place called the Pit of Carcoon, which is the nesting place of a creature known as the Sarlacc. Hot take, I like the beak.
Yeah.
I like the beak.
It gives it more personality.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and Lucas's reasoning behind putting the beak in there was because in the original cut, it was just a pit with spikes and a few tentacles coming out, and Lucas said that you never got the sense that there was anything alive down there.
Yeah, it was just a hole with teeth, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, you never even saw the teeth, chew or anything. People were just falling into a pit.
Yeah.
But this is where we also get another weird thing, because Luke has a green lightsaber that gets ejected to him out of R2-D2, and when I was a kid, I never once questioned Luke's allegiance, because it was just like, this is the Luke Skywalker that that I just automatically associated. I mean, it's Luke. I never once questioned, oh, he has a green lightsaber. Does this mean that he's towing the line, or is he full dark side now? No, I never questioned it.
Yeah, and this is not somebody I would think would want to kill his nephew because he thought he was going to go rogue.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
That's another story.
Yeah, but here he's slaughtering gangsters wholesale, and I mean, I guess you could say hey, it's self-defense. They're trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
It's questionable.
But still, it's more hardcore than what we've seen Luke or, even Obi-Wan up to that point do.
Oh yeah, I mean Obi-Wan had killed that one guy in the cantina.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that was the only time a lightsaber wound actually drew blood.
Yeah,
that's weird, but whatever. But people are falling into the Sarlacc left and right. Jabba gets choked out by Leia. Slave Leia, no doubt. Slave Leia, no doubt. I remember my sister at one time had a shirt that had Jabba with Slave Leia, and she got this at Disney World too. So you're questioning it, It had Jabba with Slave Leia, and the shirt said "Original Gangsta" on it.
Take that how you will, kids.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the whole sexualization of Star Wars was something that was never really, a thing up until this point. But then, when things started getting weird, it's just like, why Star Wars? Why?
Yeah, and when we first saw it, we were young enough that none of that stuff registered to us.
No, it was just like, whatever Leia's wearing, this is just Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we didn't really care about,
oh, she's in a bikini, it must be hot on Tatooine.
Yeah. Yeah. We
That's
wear
the reason
bathing
why
suits
she's
in the
wearing
summer too. But yeah, I mean, take it how you will. But this is the mindset that we had when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
It was just still Princess Leia. It's it's Luke Skywalker is Luke Skywalker, whether he's in his karate outfit or in all black.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little contrast there. How he starts out in all white, goes all black.
Yeah,
that's nice. But anyway, we all escape from the Sarlacc pit, and we have to go back to the fleet. But Luke has to, fulfill his promise to Yoda. Mm-hmm. And when he gets there, he finds out that Yoda's dying.
Yeah.
Yoda dies.
Well,
even after he says, Luke, you have to complete the training, but when he comes back, he's like, no, you have everything that you need.
He's probably much old and tired. He's like, I don't want to do this. You took too long. Fine, you got all you need. Just go.
And it's also at this point that we get two certain reveals. One, Obi-Wan reveals the famous what I told you was true from a certain point of view. And that's when we also find out that Leia is Luke's sister, which brings into question that scene from Empire. We won't go there.
No. We'll just leave that as it will.
Yeah. So
ignorance is bliss, my friend.
Right. We go back to the Rebel fleet, and I wouldn't say this is my favorite scene, but it's one of my favorite scenes. The whole briefing scenario. So let's talk about this a little bit. This is where we get our introduction to Mon Mothma. So she's one of the leaders of the rebellion, and she's the one who basically introduces us to the plan of hey, these are the the plans of the Death Star, and we also find out that the Emperor himself is coming to oversee the final stages of the construction of this new Death Star. And she also reveals that the plans were brought to them courtesy of a group that we've never even seen up until that point, called the Bothan Spies. When we finally do see the Bothan Spies, which was in I think it was Battlefront 2, they turned out to be some sort of wolf creature that can turn invisible for a short amount of time and had some sort of blaster that disintegrated people.
That's pretty cool.
Can we not get a Bothan spy movie?
Right? Where's that or a game?
Yeah, I mean, the Bothans sound cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to play as a wolf who can go invisible with a disintegrating blaster for a little bit. But yeah, and then after she says her part of the plan, that's when we get introduced to Admiral Akbar, the leader of the Mon Calamari. We love Akbar.
Oh, Akbar, he's one of my favorites.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Goat.
He is the goat. I mean, he is just swiveling around in that chair, telling them what to do, but he's the one who reveals that
It's a trap.
Yes, he does reveal it's a trap, but he also reveals that this is going to be a two-pronged attack because the Death Star is orbiting a forest planet called Endor, and on Endor is a shield generator that is protecting the Death Star. So a team has to go down to destroy the bunker so that the shield will be deactivated. Then the Rebel fleet will be able to blow up the Death Star. And then we have this other dude come in, just some random dude named General Nadine, and he reveals that hey, we also stole this Imperial ship with a code. How? Did the Bothans get that too?
Thanks, Nadine.
Dean with an M.
Maydeen. My apologies.
Did you not read the magazine? It says his name.
I did not. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
It's all good, but regardless of how they got the ship, we just go with it. It's fine. So we land on Endor, and this is when we get into the speeder bike chase.
I love the speeder bike chase.
I love that sound. Can we just, I mentioned this off screen, but we just need to talk about it right here. We have not talked about one of the greatest elements and men of this entire thing, the sound design of Star Wars, and the guy who brought these to us, courtesy of one Mr. Ben Burt. Ben Burt is the guy who has created all of the iconic sounds in Star Wars, and you can even find videos out there of how he made each iconic sound, just like banging these electric wires and recording the echo, and that's like the blaster shots, and just all of these different iconic sounds that he made using very unnatural methods.
And that right there, and a lot the sound aspect, and just what they achieved visually with these movies, to me that's a lot more impressive than what the major blockbusters of today are, because these guys had to go out and figure out how to create these sounds themselves. They didn't have a computer. They could just synth up a few sounds. Oh, that sounds cool. No, they had to figure out how to do this, or how to get it to sound the way that they envision it in their head. And that is much more impressive to me.
Oh, yeah.
To make those come to life the way they did.
Yeah, just because, when you have a director who has a vision and he says bring me a sound of a futuristic laser gun that's going to be used like a modern day rifle. How are you gonna think of what that sounds like?
Yeah. And when you think we have all these bases of laser guns and takeoffs and hyperspeed, we have an idea of what these sound like in our head now,
right? But
these guys, they had to make it up on the fly. What would this sound like? What does a laser sword sound like? What does a plasma rifle sound like?
When before in serials like Flash Gordon, when you would see a ship, it would just sound like a normal engine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
normal
type of thing. Yeah. I mean, we never got any of the stuff like that. Stuff the Falcon speeding by, or locking S-foils in attack position, and weapons. Yeah. And, the speeder bike chase is a testament to Ben Burt's genius, because I don't know if this happens in every single Star Wars, but there are moments when the iconic John Williams music is not present, and all we get are the sounds. And it's beautiful. Yep. And the speeder bike chase is a testament of that, because there is no music throughout that entire sequence. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the music doesn't start up until one of the greatest moments, when Luke pulls out his lightsaber and cuts off the front, and that one guy spins and blows up. But also on Endor is when we get introduced to our new group of protagonists. Love them or hate them, we got the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks. Yep. I don't mind. Yep.
Which we'll get to this later on in the video, but hands down the best ending.
Yes.
The original.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But this is one of the things that people hate, but I love the Ewoks.
Well, and yeah, you can make arguments on both sides for the Ewoks, but they kind of make sense for the atmosphere of Endor.
Yeah.
They're bear creatures.
Yes.
They would live in a forest.
Yeah.
Do they just so happen to look like teddy bears? Yes.
Yes.
Are they cute and cuddly? Yes. Can they take down walkers and stormtroopers? Yes.
Yes. I don't know where I heard this from, but I remember some guy talking about, you know, the primitive methods that they use to take down the walkers being either stupid or not so likely to happen, and the only thing that I could think of was, well, you didn't seem to have a problem with it in the last movie when you were tripping up walkers with a tow cable.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right. And,
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have advanced technology like we would, so it would make sense that they would perfect to their craft and their weapons. I mean, they even caught Luke Skywalker, and they even caught the heroes.
Yeah.
Like, they were smart enough to figure out how to outsmart those guys and catch them and almost eat them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I also have to wonder if there was a Spielberg influence with the Ewoks. I'll talk to you about it when you get back.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
I can't help but wonder if there was a Spielberg influence with the Ewoks, because this movie came out in 1983. What was the biggest movie of the previous year? You give up?
Yes.
E.T.
Right.
And kids loved E.T. So I can't help but wonder, do you think maybe E.T. had an influence with the Ewoks? Because, you know, Star Wars does great in the merchandise. It does cater to children. I just wonder if maybe E.T. played an influence in Ewok stuffed animals, because kids want, because I don't know if you know this or not. I mean, I can only speculate, but they did have E.T. like you know, a little E.T., right, that kids could have as a stuffed animal or something, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, kids loved E.T. Do you think maybe E.T. played an influence with the Ewoks?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they looked at E.T. and what worked there, like, hey, let's try to replicate that in our movie.
Yeah.
And gave us the Ewoks.
Yeah, and like, you know, what is the prime toy that a lot of children of a certain age gravitate towards? Teddy bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, that's always, it's a lot more prevalent in newer movies, but that was a big factor. That's always been a big factor when you're making like action blockbusters, like Star franchise, especially franchise stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what can we make that will sell? Like what can we make to cater to kids to sell to toys? Especially since, you know, by this time Kenner had already been very successful with their 3.75 inch line of Star Wars figures that they've done. So yeah, it would make sense that they would want to look at what they could do merchandise wise, and teddy bears would sell well for kids.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, merchandise was kind of an afterthought with the first movie, because they weren't expecting it to be the runaway success that they was, and so they didn't make enough toys to meet demand. So Kenner had to sell empty boxes with a voucher in them. Could you imagine being a kid on Christmas in '77, getting like, you know, getting that box with the entire set, and you open it up and there's a card saying, "Oh
Gotcha.
oh yeah, you'll have this in about 4 months."
Yeah. Or knowing back then, more like a year later.
But, you know, Star Wars was staying in the pop culture zenith because this was during a time when you could re-release a movie like you know, multiple times. Because I think to keep Star Wars relevant, they kept releasing it every year up until the next movie came out, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, Star Wars was big.
Yeah, well, they even did, you know, up until like into the 90s too, when they did the prequels.
Oh yeah, with the special editions.
Yep, they released the special editions, because I remember very vividly going to see the special edition of Empire with my dad in theaters.
Was that the only one you saw, or did you see all of them?
I saw that one and Jedi.
Okay.
But Empire, the re-release of Empire was the first one I actually saw in theaters, which was cool.
And with Endor, this is cool because Star Wars is known for having a multitude of planets that consist of a single element. But here we complete the the whole quad of basic elements. Tatooine, it's hot, so you can think of it as the fire.
Yeah.
Then you have Hoth, it's
Extreme
ice.
opposite of
Yeah.
Tatooine.
So you got your water there. Bespin, it's a gas planet, but still it's air. And then fourth, Earth with Endor, because it's just a giant forest. And it gets better as we go along, because then we have planets like Kamino and Mustafar and Utapau, and just shows the expanse of George's imagination, because Utapau was even part of his first draft.
Yep.
Yeah, so that he wanted to do a sinkhole planet. That's one of the worst. Well, not worst. It's just kind of one of the meh maps in Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Because you don't really get to climb sinkholes or anything. You're just kind of in that weird base area.
Yeah. Geonosia was one of my favorite maps.
Geonosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it shows that there's also either a lack of imagination or just a limited amount of resources, because we've had 4 desert planets.
Yeah. And we keep going back to those.
Well, one of them.
Yeah.
But continuing on with Endor, let's talk about the Rebel fleet a little bit.
Yes.
Because not only do we have the Millennium Falcon leading the charge, but we also get introduced to, like a couple new ships too. We get, obviously we get the returns of the X-Wings and the Y-Wings and the cruisers, and we get the medical frigate again from Empire. But we also get introduced to, we're going to talk about the most infamous one first. We get introduced to B-Wings.
Yes.
Why are they called that? And what do they do?
Well, because we have the A-Wings, so it would be... It only makes sense to have the B-Wings, next one in the line. But
in the first movie, we had X and Y. Why didn't we go with Z-Wings?
Why? Oh, I don't know.
We never get an explanation as to why they're called B-Wings.
Because it makes money.
Yeah, so basically it's just like a staff with a cockpit on top and the wings pop out. It looks weird. Yeah. It looks weird, but I guess now we know where Orion got the design influence for his bombers in The Last Jedi. Maybe that's why they're called B-Wings. But then we also get the nimble ships, the A-Wings. Now those are pretty cool.
Because you're above the B-Wings.
Yeah. Yeah, the A-Wings are cool. Especially that one dude who kamikazes into the Super Star Destroyer and causes it to crash. That was cool.
He was in it to win it. He was for the cause.
And he didn't even get shot. He was just... Ah!
Nope. That's the original hold-on maneuver.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't think about that first. He could have taken down more if he had just gone into light speed. Yeah. But yeah, that dude was just ready to go. He was ready to go. And I even love how that one guy's like looking like just like trying to point. Yeah, because they lost their shield. And when the Rebel fleet arrives, the shield is still up, so they basically just have to survive. And that's when... Yeah, I mean, not only do they get cornered by an operational Death Star, but also the entire Imperial fleet. There's no way there is nowhere to run. We can't have a chase.
That's not a good situation to be in at all.
No, I mean, they got, things are just happening throughout that entire space battle, and I mean, it is cool, it's fast, you're on the edge of your seat, because it's like, are they going to survive? Because down on the ground, boots on the ground, an Imperial, battalion has arrived with walkers, and they've... I mean, our little band of guerrilla fighters with their teddy bears are trying to gain ground, get back into the generator, and R2-D2 gets blown apart. Leia gets shot.
In the arm.
Leia gets shot. One of the teddy bears dies, unfortunately.
Fabric. Pour one out for the homies.
Yeah. And I love when they start gaining ground and we just start seeing them doing crap to the walkers. They like chop the logs and they like crash into that one. And I love the stop motion wobbly effect of that one. Cool. Yeah. Oh, and that one hang gliding and like dropping rocks onto it. It would have been much more awesome if he had a thermal detonator and dropped it down in there.
What does that say about the stormtroopers' armor, their helmet armor, that they're being knocked out by rocks?
Well, I mean, Mala was able to slap one in the Obi-Wan series, so just goes to show you that that crap is weak. Oh, and
well, the Empire has to cut costs somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, and I also saw this too. One of the Ewoks had a gun too. He was able to grab a gun from one of the stormtroopers, and he's like holding that thing up, like, "Hey!"
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to maintain good relations with the Ewoks and remain part of the tribe, you got to make sure that you could at least give them some technology. But if you give them the technology, do you think that maybe at some point they would turn on you?
Probably. All right. Side note: who's your favorite Ewok?
I mean, I just got to go with Wicket.
Wicket.
Yeah, I mean, because he's the first one we see. He's the one who brings Leia in, and basically he's the one who starts this whole initiation with them.
Mine would probably be. I don't ever think his name is mentioned in the movie. Yeah. I just know because I had the figure. But Logray, the chieftain.
Oh.
He was my favorite. That dude was cool. He had like the shaman helmet with the beak and the little staff.
Yeah.
He was cool. And
C-3PO also proves that he is a good storyteller, contrast to where he says that he's not one in Episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has a pretty good database of sounds.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered the Ewoks. Now we need to get to the most emotional, like the crux of the movie that drives this whole thing.
Yeah. And
Luke's confrontation of Vader and our we had that last time. Now we get to see the flesh and blood appearance of the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And when he arrives, he gets the entire red carpet treatment. I mean,
he even gets red guards.
Yeah,
you say the red guard treatment.
Yes, I mean, he has all the officers, all the stormtroopers. He's got 4 guards come out.
Big Daddy Palps.
And this is also where we get to know that Vader is submissive to this guy. Mm-hmm. Even though he did bow before a hologram, now we get to see him kneel before the actual flesh and blood guy.
And it's really cool to see that hierarchy of power shift because, up until this point, Vader's been the top dog. There's nobody more feared than Vader. And then,
we only had allusions to the Emperor, and we saw him as a hologram, and we know that Vader submits to him as master. Right. But now we actually get to see it.
And then when we see the Emperor walk in and see, how submissive Vader is to him, it's like, wow, this dude's bad, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's old and he can definitely foresee the future, and he's a master planner, as we're going to get to see more of in the prequels. But
being that you hit on the prequels, knowing what we know about his rise to power just makes when we see him in Jedi, it just means so much more. Because we knew what it took for him to get there.
Yeah, and Ian McDiarmid just kills with this role. I mean, it's one thing to make him look like a creepy old dude. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't even know how old he was when he did this. But then when you go back to the prequels, when he's older, and then you turn him into the old man,
it's like
that's
he was
stroke of genius. How old do you think he was when he did this role for the first time?
It'd probably be 15 years.
Do you think he was in his 40s, maybe? or 30s?
I would say late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's on up there now.
Oh yeah. but I mean, we get such great lines like "Rise, my apprentice," and I also just love his just like, you know, the way he taunts Luke, like "Come here, boy."
Just love his whole demeanor, like,
yes.
I know more than you. I am better than you.
Yeah.
Like, he is always in control of every situation.
Or like, you know, when Vader comes to tell him something, he's like, you know, a shuttle has landed on Endor with the rebels, and he's just like, yes, I know. Yes, I know. And he goes, my son is with them, and then like, you know, it starts to crack a little. He's like, strange that I have not foreseen.
Yeah.
Are you sure your senses are in tune?
You wonder, because I was thinking about that scene last night when I rewatched it. Do you think the reason why the Emperor couldn't feel Luke was because Vader, was it, I don't know how to explain it. Was it really sensing him from a dark side perspective, but Vader could sense him because Luke was his son, because he was family, and that made their connection that much stronger, which is why the Emperor couldn't feel him, but Vader could.
Or maybe he was just manipulating him to because like he was saying, like, you know, are you sure your feelings are in check?
Mm-hmm.
Because when he first arrives, he says, you know, you have to bring him to me and then he'll join us. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I guess during the time the movie first came out, the rule of two wasn't even really a thing.
Because if it was, you would think Anakin would get a little concerned at that point.
Yeah.
Because like, but I'm your
what?
But
yeah.
I'm your apprentice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw what happened. I saw what you made me do. I remember what you made me do to the last dude.
Yeah. And then you saw what my master. And then he saw what my master did to the guy before him.
Right.
Even though the Plagueis novel debunked all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, you know, Maul was basically just being used as a weapon at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where the redemption of Anakin Skywalker comes full circle, especially after you watch the prequels, because during this whole entire time, Luke is being told, like, you know, you have to kill Vader. You have to kill Vader. When you do that, then you will fully be a Jedi. And this is coming from his mentors. Mm-hmm. Yoda says you have to confront Vader, and after you do, you'll be a Jedi. Obi-Wan says you have to kill Vader. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really give a reason, but Luke says, I can't kill my father. And then he's just like, oh, well, then I guess darkness is won.
He did kill Vader from a certain point of view.
And this is where everything just comes to an emotional head, because Luke is basically watching his friends die, you know, right there in front of him. The Emperor's taunting him. When he first gets the lightsaber, do you think he would have gone through with it? Do you think that he would have killed the Emperor right then and there?
I think there is a part of Luke that would have.
Yeah.
And really wanted to.
Yeah.
If Luke wasn't as in check with his emotions as he should have been. I think he 100% has the potential to go through with it. Because, jumping ahead a little bit, you know, once later on in that fight, you know, once Vader brings up his sister, you can feel the rage in Luke bubble up.
Oh, yeah.
Luke just goes ham, unleashes on him.
Yeah, like he's hammering on him.
And if he wouldn't have stopped himself, he would have killed him. Vader would have been done, and Luke would have been the Emperor's because he would have killed him to his anger.
Yeah, and before that, you can even see Luke trying to reason with his father, because I don't know if you noticed this, but at multiple times during that fight, he keeps turning off his lightsaber. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I always thought a big part of that was to he turned off his lightsaber to hide in the shadows.
So no. I'm talking about before that. Like, you know, he kicks Vader down the stairs. He turns it off. Yeah. Then when Vader swings at him and he does that flip onto the catwalk, he doesn't have it ignited. Yeah. So then after he is able to have his father basically pinned into submission, he's already cut off one of his hands, and that's when the Emperor starts goading him into like, kill him, come and join me.
Yeah.
Look at the
Well,
look at
Palpatine saw how far Luke was
at that
potentially
point, yeah.
willing to go. Like, if he knew if he could just say the right words, if he could just push him just a smidge further, he could have what he want.
Yeah.
Luke would end Vader,
Yeah.
and we'd have a completely different story.
Oh yeah, but luckily Luke is able to see what he will become if he didn't stop. Because he sees Vader's missing hand,
Yep.
he clutches his
He looks down at
mechanical
his
hand,
hand.
which is another great sound design because you can actually hear the mechanical
Yep.
whirring when he does that. And then for the final time, he turns off his lightsaber and throws it aside, and he says, "I will never turn to the dark side. I am a Jedi like my father before me." And then that's when we get to see that the Emperor not only knows and can use the Force, but now we get to see what he can do with the Force. Our first appearance of Force lightning.
That, as viewing that for the first time, that was so iconic and so amazing, especially because when you saw like the flashes of the skeletal structure like on Luke, like is he gonna die? I actually felt like he could die. This is the Emperor and lightning is coming. He's shooting lightning from his fingers. Like, what the crap is this?
Yeah, and smoke is rising from his body. Like, he's frying Luke, and then Vader redeems himself by picking him up and throwing him down the shaft. And it's really cool because the lightning's still going and it's lighting up Vader, and you can see his skeleton.
And so going back to that, I actually have two favorite line and one of my favorite scenes.
Okay.
So my favorite line is I should have talked about this when we were back at the sail barge, but when they're driving to the skiff and Luke goes, I used to live here.
Yeah.
And then Han, one of my favorite lines is Han's response. You're gonna die here, because it's just so quick-witted. It's so instant. Like, he didn't even it almost feels improv.
Oh yeah.
Like, I used to live here,
Yeah.
You're gonna die here,
Oh yeah.
I love his delivery, just how instantaneous it was.
And just that smirk that he does too.
Yeah. It really felt improvised.
Oh yeah.
And knowing Harrison Ford, I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Yeah.
But and then one of my favorite scenes is going back to what you were talking about, was when it cuts to Vader when he's having that moment of indecisiveness.
Yeah.
You can see the flashes of the skeleton in his helmet.
Right.
Like, you can see like the lights from the Force lightning bouncing off his helmet, and you can kind of see, and maybe it was just me, but I could kind of see Vader's eyes through his shield, his eye shields. Like, maybe it was just me, but I could see like just a little bit of eyes moving behind that, which to me symbolized like his humanity. Like, yes, there is a human in there.
Yes.
And that is about to bubble up, because next thing he does is he turns and grabs Palpatine
and
tosses him down the shaft.
Oh yeah. And we should have talked about this before when we were doing the Endor stuff, but my favorite scene in this movie is probably after Luke is brought to him and they just have that whole back and forth, and Luke is trying to plead with the man in front of him, and he's like, that's why you couldn't destroy me before, and that's why you won't bring me before the Emperor now. And he turns on his lightsaber as if to as if to be like, I still have the power within me to do this. And then, the pain in his voice when Luke says it's not too late. You can still come back, and he goes, it's too late for me.
Even at that point, you could tell like Vader was definitely rethinking his whole decision.
Oh yeah.
Like, is he actually going to go through with it and break? Because you could hear the hesitation in his voice.
Right. And the great lesson to take away from this movie is that, up until your dying breath, you still have a chance.
Yeah, you can still be redeemed.
Oh yeah, I mean, the thief on the cross is like the example. It's never too late until you die. So, and then when Luke brings him to the hangar, and he says, "Let me look upon you with my own eyes," and he takes off the helmet, and we get to see the human in the human in the machine, and he thanks Luke for saving him. And he doesn't say thank you, but he's dying, and Luke says, I have to save you, the physical human, but the soul has already been redeemed, and he goes, you already have. And I've also never noticed this before, but when you see the shot, one of the shots of Luke, you can actually see tears on his face. I have never noticed that before. But then we have the big celebration because, the fleet has blown up the Death Star. Everyone on Endor is safe, minus one teddy bear.
For now.
Yeah, minus one teddy bear. But then we have the big celebration at the end, and Luke burns the armor, but do you think he was also burning the body as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the body was in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, it just symbolize, and also during that moment, they also play the binary sunset theme, because it's like everything's coming back full circle.
Yep.
Luke's hero's journey has been complete. And this is the special edition change that I think adds more to it when we get to see the galaxy-wide celebration of the fall of the Empire.
Well, you see, because, we've been introduced to a lot of locations and a lot of planets
already.
But it was cool just to see how their victory and their success affected the other systems.
Oh yeah,
this wasn't just a victory for them. This was a victory for everybody, the whole universe.
Yeah. I mean, because even though looking at some of the locations. First of all, Tatooine was never part of the Empire, but you can definitely tell that the Empire did have a presence there. But from Episode 4, we see Cloud City. The Empire had taken complete control over it at the end of Empire, so the citizens there are liberated.
Yep.
This wasn't in 1997, but we had Naboo, and that even adds more significance to it because they never I don't know if they reveal it in the prequels, but Naboo is where Palpatine is from.
Yep.
And in 1997, the first special edition cut, this was the first time we saw Coruscant. And we get to see a statue of the Emperor being torn down.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and we also, and admittedly, we had better ending music in the special edition. Yeah. We did. I mean, that's just much more perfect than the tribal dub 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 dub. Yeah.
I think it would have fit better to use that during the Ewok celebration, and then once it cuts to all the other systems, go into the more celebrational theme.
Right. Maybe. I just like how it starts. When you start seeing the liberation of the galaxy, but
I like yup nup. Yup nup.
We'll, I'll talk about this in just a minute, but I think that my favorite part of the entire movie is when Luke sees the ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and his father, because it's like these are the three, his two mentors and his dad. This is the first time that his dad is his dad.
Yeah.
Even though he never got to spend time or anything with his dad, but, he now sees him for who he truly is. And I think that it's just a good moment with, Anakin smiling because, he's become one with the Force, and Obi-Wan nodding at him because it's like, hey, this is my friend. This is the guy who I was talking about at the first movie when I said that he was a good friend. And it's just pitch perfect.
Yep.
But I've told you this before. I have a preferred cut of this movie, and this is my preferred cut. the 1997 special edition,
Mm-hmm.
but you keep Lopty Neck in place of Jedi Rocks.
Yep.
You take out that pointless scene with the Bantas in the Dune Sea.
Yeah.
You also take out the pointless scene of Ula falling into the pit
Mm-hmm.
where it's extended because we need to keep the Rancor a secret.
Yeah.
And you also obviously you don't do the no, even though that was not in the 1997 cut. And you also keep Sebastian Shaw instead of Hayden.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that is my preferred cut of this movie.
I would agree.
Because even after I watched my original cut, I had to go to YouTube to watch the special edition ending because it's just like that music.
Yeah.
That music is just what does it. But that is my preferred cut because, people flack on George for changes, but the beak works in the Sarlacc pit. The ending music works.
Not all of his changes are bad.
Yeah.
It's just when he changes things just to change things.
Yeah, the liberation of the galaxy is great, but then you start questioning things like, why do the Ewoks have to have eyelids now? Why do we have to have Greedo saying McClunky?
Forgot about the eyelids. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That was creepy.
Okay, but
Forgot about that.
yeah, but yeah, some changes are good. Some changes are good.
Yeah.
Not all of
Some
them.
changes are like why? Like the rocks in A New Hope when R2 hides.
Obi-Wan's call, like his weird like monster thing. But we digress, but I think we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
We love Return of the Jedi. I mean, it's our favorite movie. We could gush for hours about this like we did on Empire, but we're trying to keep
there
these...
may be a part 2. So
so
B-sides.
we're just trying to keep this short.
Yeah.
But next time we come in, we get into a new era. We have the prequel era coming up.
Yes, we do.
And we are going to start with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and we may have some hot takes because it is not the heap and pile of garbage that some people think it was.
No.
I also hate it. I don't hate the Phantom Menace. This is the thing that started, the hate and all the stupid stuff like George raped my childhood and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I think when the prequels hit, that was when, and especially, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet was just coming up and people were a lot more vocal about their opinions. And because of all those things, I think this new era of Star Wars got a bad rap.
Yeah. And with the dawn of, with the dawn of the internet, anonymity was still a big thing. What was like a big thing. So you could get, harassed by anyone. And we will talk about some of the unfortunate side effects that had on two people in particular in that film. But next time we come back, we're going to be starting the prequel era. But we got to shut down. We got to close the base for the night.
Yeah, we do. We gotta put the Ewoks to bed, right?
And we gotta make sure the Gundark doesn't have any radioactive leaks again.
Right, well, so far so good.
So far so good.
Yeah.
With our movies. But
right.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Again, everybody, thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. We apologize about the gap in between these videos. Life gets in the way. But, we're really excited about what we're doing. We definitely want to push out a lot more content.
And we will.
Yes. We're always brainstorming different ideas. So anything that y'all want to see us talk about or y'all want or y'all think would be good ideas for topics for shows, please let us know in the comments.
If you want us to do part 2s of these movies where we could go more in depth.
B-sides,
I mean, we'll definitely do it.
Yeah. So just let us know. We're always open to suggestions. Appreciate y'all tuning in, checking us out. All the love. So this is Green Leader 88 signing off.
Blue Leader 99 signing off.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.